Happy Galentine's Day to you all, and welcome into another edition of the PHNX D-Backs podcast right here on PHNX. My name, of course, is Derek Montilla, occasionally known as your mayor of PHNX. This guy is my vice mayor. He is also always known as the Thunderstick, Jesse Friedman.
It's a good thing that Cactus League games don't count. Diamondbacks last couple days.
Not great.
Not great.
We don't care about that.
9-3 to the A's today. I think it was 14-4 the last time the Diamondbacks played the A's. So
I don't know why you're bringing up bullshit.
none of these games matter, though, Derek. That's the beauty of the whole thing.
You're right. But what does matter is that Zac Gallen was on the mound today for the Arizona Diamondbacks, making his Arizona spring Cactus League debut. But of course, this show is brought to you by the fine folks at the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Zac Gallen wasn't great today, but of course, his outing was really weird. And
so weird.
What would we expect from a spring training game with Zac Gallen? Pitch clocks, weirdness, being taken out and brought back in. What, 3 times?
3 times, yeah. So Zac Gallen. Plugging away in the first inning, kind of struggling through a lot of pitches. I think he got into the mid-20s. The Diamondbacks got the bullpen up at that point. But he finishes the first inning at 27 pitches, comes back out for the second inning, gets the first 2 outs of the inning, and then the Diamondbacks remove him, put in a reliever. And then you think maybe the start is done. Maybe it's an inning and 2/3. He was at 40 pitches, I want to say, at that point. He comes back in for the third inning. He gets 1 out. Gets taken out from the game. Another reliever comes in to replace him. And you figure at that point, okay, now the start is done.
Yeah.
But the start was not done, Derek. He comes back out for the 4th inning. And then Torey Lovullo, after he walks the first batter of the 4th inning, comes out and removes Zac Gallen from the game for the 3rd time, which was, I don't know, like the optics of that are honestly kind of hilarious. Like, I think everybody knows that there's like maybe a slight, I don't want to say embarrassment factor necessarily, but like when you're on the mound and you're struggling and your manager comes out to remove you, it's not exactly like your brightest moment, right?
No,
it's
not
kind of
a spring game, especially like we were talking about against the Royals lineup. No knock to the guys on the lineup, but you know, of course, there are several guys on all of these lineups, all these starting lineups that aren't even going to make the major league roster. So for these pitchers to struggle at times against, you know, these particular guys, again, they're all quality hitters. They wouldn't be here if they weren't. But it does add, like Jesse said, just a little bit to the embarrassment factor. You want to go out there and have a good showing. You kind of want to go out there and just deal, considering you know that they're not taking it too seriously either. But yeah, the Diamondbacks haven't been doing so great lately.
Zac Gallen pitched parts of 4 innings, and he only actually threw 2 innings in the box score. He wound up ultimately getting 6 outs. It wasn't a great outing in the box score for Gallen. 3 hits, 4 runs, 4 walks. There really wasn't anything about it that was all that great, I'm going to be honest.
What was the main problem? It seems like control was his main problem.
Yeah, he was, and he told us afterwards that he talked with the home plate umpire about some calls. He felt there were a few pitches that maybe should have been in the zone that were not called that way. But yeah, his command was just a little all over the place. His velocity did dip noticeably throughout the game. First inning, it was mostly 92-93. Comes out for the second inning, 91-92. And I think by the time he came out for the 4th inning, he threw an 88-mile-an-hour fastball in the 4th inning. So, it wasn't a huge, crazy drop-off. I asked him about it after the game. He wasn't too concerned about that. He thought that, you know, that'll just come with time, maintaining the velo deeper into the game. But he didn't seem too concerned about anything. So I guess that's the positive here.
We have some words from Zac on how he felt after the game.
Yeah, no, I mean, it felt good to be out there with another uniform out there. Kind of feel the real thing. But yeah, I mean, everything felt pretty good. Felt like it was coming out of my hand good. Just, you know, obviously some early season just fine-tuning and whatnot. Other than that, it felt pretty good.
Brett Johnson in the comments asked, why did they wait so long to get him some spring games? They actually didn't. He was pitching on the back lot. They just didn't have him pitching against opponents in spring training games. I think the idea there is twofold. One, they know Zac Gallen is going to make this team. There's no concern over him not making this team. So it really is probably more about him not being seen by the opposition too much during spring, kind of hiding him a little bit just so that, they don't get that much information on him. But there could also be other reasons. Like it could be just the way they want to control the conditions, which they could do in a backlot game much more. Obviously, like Jesse just described, they can do whatever the hell they want in a spring training game. Bring guys in, bring them out.
I was wondering,
can they even add extra outs and stuff like they used to do some of those games?
Extra outs?
Yeah, like we want to go another out. Like, some of those. I mean,
I haven't seen.
They
I
do
think
weird
they draw
shit,
the line
but
there.
no, yeah, I think that's more of like the exhibition games that they play out there.
Yeah.
But,
they'll go crazy on like backlot games where they'll send hitters back up for the second time in a row.
The B game with Dre or with Ryan Nelson, I'm sure was something weird like that.
Yeah, they did actually. Ryan Nelson did pitch in a B game against the Texas Rangers today. And Tori explained to us, I think it happened this morning, Tori explained to us that the Rangers had some of their big league hitters in that game and that they cycled the big league hitters to the top for every inning, I believe. So Ryan Nelson saw like a very odd, it wasn't really a real baseball lineup. He just kind of kept seeing the same hitters over and over again. But yeah, Tori kind of described it in a positive light. Teo Mackey from the Arizona Republic tweeted out the exact pitching line for Ryan Nelson in that game: 2 2/3 innings, 3 hits, 4 runs, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. He threw 38 pitches. So
still not great.
Not a great line. I mean, the 6
good.
strikeouts, I guess, is pretty nice, but still not an outstanding outing for Ryan Nelson from the box score perspective.
In all transparency, Jesse was out at Salt River Fields. Teo was out at a Surprise, which I will not go to.
Teo was out at Salt River Fields.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, Tori, during the pregame press conference, Tori didn't remember off the top of his head what Ryan Nelson's pitching line was.
Oh, okay.
So Teo must
nobody wanted to go to Surprise. Nobody wanted to go to Surprise.
I don't know if media are even allowed to watch B games.
Oh, yeah, we are. Yeah,
are we?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
absolutely.
See, Derek's teaching me about my job right here on the show.
Nobody wants to. And another thing is that Jesse was out at Salt River Fields while I was engaged in a battle between my coworkers playing game show games at a wonderful facility here. It was actually a really cool team building event. And even though my team lost, I'm proud to say I was the MVP of that team.
The MVP of the losing team, Derek. Congratulations.
I did my part is all I'm saying. I played my part. Damon can attest to this. He doesn't want to, but he can attest to this.
I think both Derek and Owen were both very good for our team, and
Owen was pretty good.
I was particularly bad.
Yeah,
Damon dragged.
Yeah,
Damon
dragged
you down.
Max was also pretty terrible. They asked us, surveyed which Muppet would you want on your fantasy basketball team. This guy over here is like, Gonzo. He comes with Fozzie Bear. Because everyone else said Fozzie Bear doesn't even have a perimeter game, let alone can he defend in a post. The fuck are you talking about? Gonzo is a he's a stuntman. He would be ejected out of a cannon to dunk the ball constantly throughout the game, and you know it. The chickens would be cheerleaders. It writes itself. Why do I even have to explain this to people? It drives me nuts.
I know Gonzo was the right answer.
I knew it was the right answer. It was.
Isn't Gonzo a bad stuntman? Isn't that like the whole point of Gonzo?
Fine.
So like he's gonna get shot out of that cannon.
He blows himself up a lot. Yes,
and he's gonna miss the dunk.
Man. Anyway, Mark says it's Gonzo. See, that's me and Mark. We're ooses, and that's the reason. That's why we see everything.
Are we going to talk about baseball again?
No, I also had my tire explode on the freeway.
Oh, you want to tell that story
about
too?
My day. I'm not happy. You guys are lucky I'm even here right now. I could be dead with the way that people drive on the I-10. Back to baseball, I guess.
Did you have a worse day than Zac Gallen on the mound?
Mm-hmm. A push. It's a push because, but Zac Gallen did have a really interesting, kind of incredible play, as Jesse put, a rad play, where during the game, Zac Gallen quick pitched after a timeout. Batter called timeout.
Batter calls a
timeout, gets back in the box. Zac Gallen was ready the whole time. We've seen a lot of the shenanigans around baseball, and of course, starting pitchers are very much trying to push the envelope and see what they can get away with. And in this case, Gallen was prepped. He was ready, much like we've seen the minute he gets into the box. I think Scherzer did this, right?
Yeah. But Gallen wasn't trying to pull a Scherzer. That wasn't his goal. He just thought the batter was genuinely ready.
And he was ready.
Gave him a couple seconds. Gallen was ready. And it worked. He got a swing and a miss. He got a strikeout. And the umpire told him afterwards, you can't do that. You actually can't do that. You gotta give a little bit more time for the hitter to get set. And so Gallen was confused. I'm confused. We're all confused.
Why didn't he call it? Like, I thought that was what spring training was for. Is this like a grace period kind of thing?
I don't know.
Why would they not call it in the moment?
I mean, maybe, umpires make mistakes, right? Maybe the umpire realized afterwards that that's something that should have been called right away. So he was just
trying to give Gallen that information.
Trying to give Gallen
I didn't call
the
it, but
feedback.
okay. Well, Gallen actually has a bit of an explanation, or maybe not. Maybe he's just as confused as we are.
He called time, and I didn't realize, like, did he call time? Like, I was, like, not paying attention, and stepped out, got back in the box, and, like, I'm not changing the pitch. So I just came set. I thought he looked at me for like a good second and a half, 2 seconds, which I guess 3 seconds is like the time when I don't know. And I'm like, okay, he seems ready to go, pitch. And then he said something to Bruce about it. And he was like, you're not allowed to do that. Like, so my question just was like, what is the actual, it seems like a gray area. There's no like, you got to wait until 5 seconds in or 10 seconds in or whatever. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of guys on both sides are going to, that's going to be interesting to see how that goes.
So you weren't trying to like pull one over on him.
No, I mean, I was just ready to go. So I figured like he's going to get in the box, and of course it's an advantage to me to be ready to have the pitch. You seem like you're set. All right, let's go. But like, I don't know. I guess not. Like, I mean, if you want to, was I trying to do like Scherzer and like do it like that? But I'm thinking, I have the ball. Like I'm ready to go. The clock's going. So like, the longer I let it go, the more comfortable he gets. Like, my job out there is to make you uncomfortable. So,
and I get what he's saying about trying to make them uncomfortable. I also get that he wasn't intentionally trying to pull a Scherzer. But I found it interesting. I'm glad that question was asked because, of course, there is gamesmanship. There are guys trying to, again, gain some sort of advantage or learn what they can and can't do. But there's also just the fact that they – like he said, he didn't change the pitch. He knew what pitch he was going to throw. He didn't need to take a lot of time. And as far as he was concerned, it was the batter was in the box. He was ready to go. The pitch clock creates a lot of weird scenarios. And like this is kind of one of them because a pitcher would never really go this fast. But at the same time, with the pitch clock running down, the longer it runs down, the more it moves into the advantage of the batter the closer it gets to one. And that's kind of what happens with the pitch clock, unless the fucking pitcher decides to like dick around, and we'll talk about that, about like just letting the pitch clock run down, and then the batter also gets a strike somehow, which is just ridiculous. But this is not that.
Yeah, it's a really confusing play. We'll continue to ask and see if Gallen's able to get some clarification, see what Torrey had to say after the game about this play.
That's a good point. Brett Johnson says, God, I want to be on a fly on the wall when Zach and Strom just talk about pitching, or like this scenario, right? Like what to do with this.
Strom and Zach don't talk pitching anymore. They only talk pitch clock. Right?
Yeah.
That's the only topic of discussion in D-back spring camp now.
I wouldn't be surprised if it really was, because holy shit, these guys still don't understand that. And that's the thing. It's not the players just don't understand. I feel like a lot of people involved in this process still don't really understand it.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, part of adding the pitch clock is that, hitters in the past, generally you kind of put your hand up at the umpire, and the umpire will indicate to the pitcher that the hitter is asking for time.
Right.
And then once the hitter lowers their hand, and the umpire points at the pitcher and is like, all right, now you're good to throw a pitch, right? But with the pitch clock, they don't do that anymore. If a hitter, puts their hand up at the umpire, that doesn't mean anything anymore. They get their one timeout. That's all they get.
Right.
Once that timeout is over and the pitch clock starts again, they're back in the box. Then, the hitter has to be in there as of the 8-second mark. But if the hitter's in there earlier than that, it's not like the pitcher has to wait until 8 seconds or something. The pitcher can start earlier. But as Zach is talking about here, there's this gray area. Like, how do I know as the pitcher when the hitter is quote unquote ready for the pitch? Zach joked with us in another part of this interview after the game. Like, do I have to wait for the hitter to give me a thumbs up? Does the hitter have to come up to the mound and tell me all right, I'm ready?
Bring the fucking heat. I'm ready. What?
It's kind of there's gray area as Zac Gallen said, and I'm sure that there does exist some concrete rule on this. I hope. We just don't really know what that is right now, and it doesn't sound like Zac Gallen really knows what that is either.
Yeah, and again, this is kind of the point of doing it during spring training, like we talked about earlier with the score. This shit don't matter, right? So it's like now is a good time to get it out of the way. Now is a good time to see what stunts Max Scherzer and his compadres are going to pull. It's a great time to have the umpires have these discussions and conversations. Like all of these little quirky things that are happening should happen during these these inconsequential games, right? If they do, it kind of helps them to understand it without like needing to have it all be in a practice scenario, right? These umpires, they're new to this and they have a lot going on. Like that was one of my concerns is how much a home plate umpire truly has to watch. Now the PitchCom system does connect them with the other umps and everybody can see whatever, but for the most part, the home plate umpire is tasked with keeping track of a lot of things. And still at the end of the day, they're also tasked with watching the strike zone, which once again makes a big case for them to not do that portion of their job. If they have all these other things to do now because of the pitch clock, let them do that and watch home plate when there's a play at the plate and let the fucking computer do the rest. That's not even computer. You guys know I want real robots. I want actual robots out there. Numbers, robot masks, all the whole thing. But
I will say, like, can you imagine what a dumpster fire this play would have been if it happened in the regular season?
Yes.
You can't have a situation where the umpire allows something to happen that apparently shouldn't have happened, and then in between innings tells the pitcher,
by the way,
you can't actually do that. In this case, it wound up benefiting the Diamondbacks because Gallen actually got the strikeout. But I mean, I can't even imagine how would the A's have felt about that if the clock was not enforced the way that it's supposed to be enforced. So
Brett,
this is very much a time for the umpires to figure this out as much as everyone else.
That's a great comment from Brett about it's funny. Have you noticed that after the first week of spring training, there's a lot less complaining about the pitch clock? And absolutely.
It was that dang game between the Braves and the Red Sox.
It gave people too much fire too early.
Of course, this the pitch clock is going to be fine, and the chances of a game deciding violation happening is so low. And of course, we got that on what was that day two of the pitch clock, and so everyone's just yelling and screaming when in reality, I don't think you're going to have any playoff games ending that way.
Infractions per game, averaging less than 2 infractions.
Yeah, and it seems to be decreasing as well.
And remember what we were told by our man Morgan Sword. That's a real human being's name. That the minor leagues just took a month for the majority of the players to acclimate to these rules. There were a couple of outliers that kind of stretched beyond that, but I don't believe their time frame went past 60 days, and that's 2 months. So if you factor in spring training being the first month of this, before we get to the end of April, everybody is going to be fine with these rules, and baseball life will go on.
Yeah.
Some injury updates from the Arizona Diamondbacks. Our man Seth Beer, a.k.a. Seth Cerveza, was scratched from the lineup. Can I say that? Am I allowed to say that? I don't think I am.
What? Seth?
No. Can I call him Seth Cerveza? No, I don't know. We're out of the shirt. The shirt's sold out. So Seth Cerveza was scratched from the lineup after taking a ground ball off his thumb in some drills at Salt River Field. So that's unfortunate because I know he's still very much trying to compete for some sort of role with this, major league lineup. Pavin Smith, another guy also competing for kind of a backup role, is feeling much better, and he was swinging some today. And Andrew Chafin has groin tightness and will be no longer pitching every other day, but he shouldn't miss much time, which is encouraging because I know Andrew Chafin is going to be a bit of scrutiny, right? Like Andrew Chafin, in a way, was kind of their big free agent acquisition.
I guess so.
I mean, that's the way that they're going to do that. He said, damn, so you're saying the beer was flat. Damn it, Brett. Damn you. Any thoughts on Chafin, though?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound like a big deal. Lovello afterwards, when describing all these injuries, is like, nobody's expected to miss much time. So you're always going to operate with an abundance of caution at this point in spring training. No reason to rush guys into anything at this point.
Again, Andrew Chafin, another guy not competing for a spot, so it's not like he needs to have that, that competition. Whereas there's some minor league arms that might get some more looks if Chafin is pitching less. So hopefully somebody takes advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kyle Lewis hit a dinger.
He did.
That's awesome.
He did.
That's awesome to see. And here, 110 miles per hour off the bat, a 390-foot home run. So, again, we foresee Lewis playing a lot of time at DH. Also, maybe some corner outfield.
In the majors?
In the majors.
Is that what you're implying?
Am
you
I?
think he'll be DHing a lot in the majors?
I think so. What do you think?
I am still kind of
skeptical.
I'm still a little skeptical. I still think Pavin Smith might have a little bit of an inside track to that spot just because of his ability to back up at first base, as well as help out in the outfield. Kyle Lewis is just not going to bring much defensively. Torey was actually asked today pregame, do you see Kyle Lewis getting in the outfield, actually playing some defense for you at some point in spring? And he gave a pretty non-specific answer. He basically said, yeah, at some point we'd like to see him in the field. But it doesn't sound like that's a huge focus for the D-backs, like getting Kyle Lewis out there, to log a whole bunch of innings in left field or something before the season starts. I don't think that's where his role is going to be. And that definitely limits him, right? The fact that not only is he not backing up first base, but he also might be a guy that you just kind of feel like you have to use at DH because of how good some of these other Diamondbacks outfielders are defensively.
Yep, I agree with you there. And
he was trying to hit a home run all game, by the way.
Yeah.
The man took some very large,
big
large cuts. Yeah, and eventually he got into one. It was good to see.
Yeah, that's good to see. And hopefully he continues to fight for that spot. We know Dre Jameson is still fighting for that rotation spot as well in the starting rotation. And we talked about his lack of confidence a bit in his changeup, not utilizing it. I think he threw one changeup, one curveball the whole game. And you kind of had an idea that maybe this wasn't so much on him, maybe on his catcher, Jose Herrera, a bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be somewhat mutual, right? I mean, if a pitcher doesn't throw a pitch, maybe the catcher just didn't call for that pitch, right?
Sure.
Or it could also be that, they talked pregame and Dre Jameson was like, yeah, no, I don't want to throw that. Or it could be that it was called and Dre Jameson didn't want to throw that pitch. So we did get a little bit of clarification on kind of who was maybe, I don't want to say to blame, but who was kind of the main person in charge of that situation, and the reason why maybe Dre Jameson didn't throw as many changeups in that game.
We have a clip on that.
And we do have a clip for that. We do not have a clip for that.
We don't have a clip. No, that's all right. No worries. But anyway, they'll see it's segments like this that are obviously brought to you guys by OGs. And so, of course, make sure to go out and grab your favorite flavor of OGs wherever you get your local wonderful edibles. They are local. They're an Arizona company. We're proud to be partnering with them. And of course, they are Arizona's top selling edible. So make sure to check out their variety. They have sleep edition gummies, they have indicas, they have sativas, and they have their brand new CBD to THC 1-to-1 ratio that they call their happy balance. It's strawberries and cream flavored, and it's delicious. OG's new strawberries and cream happy balance gummies are live on the shelves now. As always, you can find them at your local dispensary by checking out ogsbrands.com. Must be 21 or over to enjoy, and enjoy responsibly. We thank you guys for being here right now in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. You guys are the best. If you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when we go live or any of our wonderful shows on the network go live. Leave us a thumbs up because, we like that instant gratification stuff. Of course, if you're listening to us right now on the audio podcasting side, you can't give us a thumbs up, but just do it anyway right now, wherever you're at. Give us a thumbs up. Also, leave us a 5-star review. We love that. Make sure you're subscribed as well on your favorite audio podcasting app. Another thing you can do is join our family over here at PHNX by becoming a Diehard member. The Diehard membership offers a wide variety of benefits and wonderful things for you as a member. Not only do you get Diehard-only merchandise, Diehard-only discounts, Diehard-only event invites, but you also get access to this guy's newsletter, Full Count, by Jesse Friedman, as well as all the other wonderful writing from our other writers. You also get members-only hats for free, or shirts, whatever merch you want, a piece of merchandise from the PHNXlocker.com. Every single year you're a member. You also get 20% off all future purchases over there as well. So sign up to become a member. Wonderful benefits abound. And of course, we always have new partners being added on. So of course, those discounts can always cross over to all sorts of new wonderful parts of the Valley. But of course, we talked about it a little bit ago about the pitch clock, about its impact on the game, just some of the weird, quirky stuff that's happening. It's still going to continue to happen. There's still going to be unblazed trails of weirdness and stupidity that we will only find out about once we hit the regular season, once those events occur. But one thing that's really weird, and we've talked about it a bit, is if hitters should be called for violations if the pitcher isn't even on the goddamn mound yet. Like, what are we even doing here, right? Of course, the clip.
I think it's kind of hilarious.
It is hilarious because it like brings almost like a chess-like strategy into the play of baseball. Like, I'm going to sacrifice a ball, but this guy's got 2 strikes. So if he gets a violation, that's a strike, and then he strikes out. Why should I get on the mound? And that's exactly what Yankees pitcher Luis Severino did. Basically delayed being ready on the mound long enough that it would be assessed a penalty to him, but also, or a violation to him, also a violation to the hitter from the Tampa Bay Rays, who was on a 2-strike count. So thus, without a strike being thrown, the violation to both the pitcher and the hitter caused a strikeout.
Yeah, I think
doesn't seem fair.
I mean, I just think it's kind of a funny strategy. Like, because, I mean, it is kind of weird, right? Like, the hitter has to be in the box, alert to the pitcher at 8 seconds.
Sure.
Even if the pitcher is not ready to throw the pitch.
And that's the thing.
So if I'm a pitcher, I just don't get on the mound until 5 seconds every time, and like, just hope that the hitter doesn't.
That's what I
get
mean,
in the
though.
box.
Like, again, it's not the pitcher's job to be ready for the hitter necessarily, right?
It's more the other way around.
Yeah, and the hitter should be in the box at 8 seconds, ready to go, regardless of what the pitcher's doing, because the pitcher still has 8 seconds. But don't they have to be in the ready position by the 8-second mark or something like that? Don't
the hitter?
The pitcher. Don't the pitcher have to be?
I don't think so.
No? Okay,
No.
so they could literally just do little laps around the mound, waiting, like running the clock out, right?
That's exactly what I'm saying I would do.
Man,
yes.
I want it. I want it.
I mean, it would be it's a little bit gutsy, because if you get down to like 5 or 6 seconds on the clock, and I mean, you at least want to be probably communicating with your catcher so you know what you're going to throw.
But you got the pitch comm. You could just
you got the pitch comm. You just like
sending in signals,
bolt onto the mound all of a sudden and deliver a pitch in half a second or something just as the clock expires. I don't know if that's an actual strategy.
I don't know if it is either, but I kind of love it. Like, that's the thing that we haven't discussed is, like, yes, Jesse and I love this shit. Like, the shenanigans, the weird stuff happening. It makes baseball more fun. It makes viral clips. It makes stuff that we actually find to be hilarious. And honestly, it comes at a time where there's no consequence based on these games. We all know that the Royals are going to win the Cactus League championship. That's obvious. But, you know, I mean, it really does become one of those things that it kind of is just hilarious for a game that for so many years was just had such a stick up its butt about rules and changing stuff and everything. Like, this is all so just brand new, and it really does make baseball more enjoyable to watch. Not only is it fucking weird like that, but it also like it's faster. We're getting shorter games, and that's not a bad thing so far. It's like
today's
Brett
game
said,
was pretty dang long, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, the Diamondbacks have had quite a few long.
They've had a lot. Yeah,
they've probably had more 3-hour spring training games than most teams in the Cactus League, to be honest. Like, the Diamondbacks have given up a lot of runs. They've had a lot of long games that it's not something to necessarily be proud of.
Every inning that Zac Gallen pitches, Torey Lovello goes in and takes him out only to bring him back the next inning. So that's gonna drag out your game time just a little bit too.
All right. Well, that's not the only weird thing. The other weird thing is that these shorter games could potentially lead to lower concession sales, or do they? Because a lot of people have been worried about that. And Baseball America writer J.J. Cooper wrote an article about this exact topic. And first, J.J. and I agree, Jesse, about one thing. And that is, since when do you fucking care about concession sales? Why is this all of a sudden a topic that there's like thousands of tweets on? All of a sudden, fans are worried about the poor concession stands at baseball stadiums.
Some fans, Derek, they're concerned. They're concerned with anything that makes a case against the pitch clock. Because they don't want. Some people don't. They don't want the pitch clock. They're a little skeptical.
He figured you out.
So any little hole that they can poke at the pitch clock, they're gonna do. And concessions.
What about the concession sales? You know what? Fucking, we couldn't get in a single line around Salt River Fields to buy any concessions because the lines were wrapped around the building. Like, those concession stands were booming. People were not shying away based on the length of the lines or how quickly the game was. And that was at a 2-hour and 4-minute game that went by in what seemed like a blink of an eye. That island noodle stand at the bottom of the stairs from the press box was popping. It never didn't have people on it at it. So, I mean, I don't think it's a concern. And honestly, there is a time during baseball game where you can walk around the concourse at Chase Field and nobody's buying anything anymore because it's late enough or whatever. Like, not to mention the stands do close at like the 7th inning or whatever, but like there is a dead period after people kind of come in and we get through the first couple of innings. Trust me, I know that's when I go get my food. I outweight you people, and then I go down and I get my food because I'm not standing in a long line. I refuse to. But with these shorter games, I might not have a choice. We might need to go and get my food very quickly. The thing is, though, it almost feels like you said, Kevin says, bro, it's less time to drink beer. Bro, Kevin, it's more time for you to drink free beers at your house that you have that don't cost $16. But it does. It's like you said, it almost feels like if we solve one issue, we do create a new problem. But the article does talk to several concession stands, several stadium workers, owners of stadiums, and all minor league baseball, all that have gone through this. And honestly, people go to Major League Baseball games to watch the outcomes, I feel like, much more than people go to minor league stadiums for that. I feel like they go to enjoy baseball, go to get a hot dog, go to visit the concession stands, get something to eat, kind of hang out. It's a little bit looser of an atmosphere, and people aren't just there's not as diehard of a hanging on the wins and losses as there is with the major league teams, right? So for minor league clubs to attest to the fact that they did not see a drop in concession sales over these years that they've been attempting or basically testing out these rules in minor league baseball. And we do know, in fact, that the games have dropped by a significant margin, nearly 30 minutes. So it's fine. It doesn't seem to be impacting concession sales or what stadiums are doing, right? I mean, it really is on us as the fans in the stands to know that we don't have that much time sometimes and to get going over there and get our food. And I mean, again, it's the 2-hour and 6-minute games that might be more of the problem. But those are very rare, and those are really the ones that help bring down the average. To be honest, I'm sure we're going to see a lot of baseball games during the regular season that time out around 3 hours still. Maybe a little bit short of it. Maybe we'll see that. But it'll be the outliers of these 2-hour and 15-minute games and 2-hour and 4-minute games that really bring down that average. So overall, it's just not really too big of a factor.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, it does make a difference in some sense, right? I mean, you make the game shorter, things are gonna change, right?
Sure.
But what it sounds like happened, according to this article from Baseball America, this is a quote from a minor league team GM on the topic of concession sales, and this GM said, "We didn't see concession sales suffer due to shorter games, as fans were staying the same amount of time as they normally would, but we're now just staying until the end of the game instead of the end of the 7th inning."
Yeah.
So you make the game shorter, that people are going to stay however long they're going to stay. And so if you make the game shorter, then you're just allowing them to be there for the entire game rather than maybe leaving in the 7th inning. And of course, concessions wouldn't be available after the 7th inning anyway. So for people leaving at the 7th inning, they're not, they wouldn't be buying anything after that point anyway.
I wonder if it's going to impact beer sales with games being faster. Like if
on paper, it feels like it would.
Well, and I don't mean the beer sales just like what Kevin is talking about. I mean, I wonder if teams are going to start having to give maybe an extra inning and cut off beer sales earlier, potentially, due to the fact that the back end of the games are so short.
Oh,
they cut off selling beer because they want people, I think, the idea there
drive
is that you
safely
sober up before you drove home.
Yeah,
probably shouldn't be driving if you got a buzz on anyway, regardless of what inning it was. But again, due to liability and other reasons, I'm sure that might be something that they take into consideration if the 7th, 8th, and 9th end up becoming shorter on average around Major League Baseball. But
the difference would just be so small. I mean, you're talking about maybe like a 15% decrease in length of those last couple of innings. So, I mean, you're kind of talking about not more than a few minutes. I don't know if that makes a big enough difference, but it is interesting. I mean, in theory, maybe you would want to, do that like just a half inning earlier or something to give more time.
I'm not in favor of it. I'm not champion. I'm not behind that reason. I can't even say champion. I can't.
Championing? Is that what you're trying to say?
Words are hard. You guys know I say that. I need a shirt that says words are hard. But yeah, the Diamondbacks definitely need to do everything. Maybe there's a compromise. So like maybe leave food stands open a little bit later if it's maybe up to a certain time instead of when the innings are, because that's frustrating to me when I come down in like the middle of the 8th and want a hot dog and everything's closed. Everything's closed. But anyway, I will, of course, if this does impact concession sales around Major League Baseball, we're going to hear about it. So don't think we won't. That's the biggest thing when it comes to this. But I think for now, I think we're safe. I think we're safe to drink our delicious Four Peaks beers at Chase Field. Make sure to grab the biggest one you can. And also, if you're here for spring training or just enjoying the spring training atmosphere, make sure to check out their tours that they have at the 8th Street Pub all through March over at the Four Peaks Brewing Company. They have all sorts of wonderful events. It's a poppin' place to be, and the 8th Street Pub is an incredible facility to check out, especially if you're a craft beer fan. They will take you on a tour and show you all of their inner workings, and it's pretty incredible. They'll also tell you a ghost story. So I think that's worth the price of admission as well. Check out their calendar over at fourpeaks.com/events for all your beer week entertainment, and grab your tickets for Four Peaks' amazing spring beer dinner. Jesse, they sent me the menu. I got the menu.
Ooh, we got the menu.
Man, it was way too early for me to be getting this kind of information from them, but holy cow, the Spring Bloom beer dinner already has
chicken tendies on
no chicken tendies, but what you do get is some crispy unagi nigiri. You get some spicy tuna poke tartare. You get some crispy shrimp spring roll, and that's just to start things off, you guys. I mean, they got all sorts of wonderful courses. It's a 6-course meal. Check it out over at Four Peaks.
Gosh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Maybe me and this guy show up and get our grub on. But regardless, you must be 21 years or older to enjoy their beer and enjoy responsibly. The 6-course meal, that's for anybody. Anybody can enjoy that. But I wouldn't take my daughter to that. My daughter didn't even want to eat meatloaf and mashed potatoes last night. So if it's not fucking chicken tendies or cheeseburgers, she doesn't want it. And I
mean, she has to like one of the 6 courses.
Oh
right?
my God. I bet she wouldn't like any of them. She complained the whole time. I can already see her face. But big shout out to our friends from RotoWire. We are so thrilled to be partnering with the guys from RotoWire. It's baseball season. You get your latest fantasy baseball news from RotoWire, which has been a pioneer of fantasy sports for over 25 years. So make sure to check them out. They have cheat sheets. They have analytics. They have everything that you need. Mock drafts galore. You know how I feel about fantasy baseball. It is a long season. And of course,
you need someone to hold your hand.
Yeah, if you're going to do it with some expertise. Have somebody help you out. But they have not just baseball, fantasy advice on everything else and categories I didn't even know fantasy could be played on. Golf, soccer, NASCAR. Soccer makes a lot of sense. NASCAR, my wife would definitely play fantasy NASCAR. She loves NASCAR. XFL. You didn't get enough fantasy football season during the football season? Fantasy XFL. They got everything. So the best part is for a limited time, RotoWire is offering a free 2-day trial to our listeners. Just go to rotowire.com/PHNX to register. Absolutely no commitments. They're so confident that you'll like their product and want to invest in a subscription plan that they don't even ask you for a credit card up front. So take a peek behind the paywall, and when the trial is done, you can decide if a RotoWire package is right for you.
God bless them for doing it that way.
I know. That is such a good way to do it, right?
That's how you know that they're
behind their product.
They're solid company, right? They're we know you're going to like this. We don't even need your credit card info to try to like trick you into paying for something you didn't want to pay for.
Oh, you didn't cancel. That's not our fault. That's on you. You know, that kind of stuff that companies do. They ain't doing none of that. So make sure to take a look. Maybe if you want to absorb as much information from them as you can, but they're always putting out great stuff. So make sure to check out our friends at RotoWire. And I need their advice on the World Baseball Classic, Jesse, because these are damn all-star teams.
Pretty darn good teams.
It starts today. We're so excited for this. And of course, our biggest question is, who do you guys have this year? Who is your favorite for the World Baseball Classic? I think Jesse and I should give ours.
Yeah, you want to go? You want to go first?
I'm all about the Dominican Republic team. Like, obviously, I'm about my heritage, my family, my bloodline requires
Turning
that
on Puerto Rico,
I root
Derek?
for Team Puerto Rico, right?
Puerto Rico's not so bad, right?
No, the pitching's not great, and Carlos
Jose
Correa didn't
Barrios,
play.
Alexis Diaz, right? Younger brother of Edwin Diaz is there.
Yeah.
Emilio Pagan,
Yeah.
Marcus Stroman.
Marcus Stroman's very, very good, and I'm very excited that he's part of Team Puerto Rico. But the Dominican Republic team is incredible, and
Offense for Puerto Rico's a little thin.
They look
Javier Baez, Francisco Lindor, Emmanuel Rivera. Is not.
I am
not much
well aware
else
he
there,
was on
yeah.
Team Puerto Rico. I do not need a reminder. It's why I'm not picking them. I am picking Team Dominican Republic, and it's as close as I can get to Puerto Rico as possible. They look very similar when you go to the two countries as well. But Jesse, I think their Dominican Republic lineup is just insane.
It is. It's not as good as the Czech Republic's lineup, but it is pretty.
It's not as
pretty
good of a story as the Czech Republic's lineup. But
yeah,
they got a guy named Sandy Alcantara down there, don't they? Leading the way.
They do.
That guy might be pretty damn good this year in the World Baseball Classic.
I'm like trying to be like, I don't know. It seems like the DR is kind of the choice here. Brett Johnson says Team Japan, which I think is also not a bad choice.
Not at all.
They certainly have had their share of success in the WBC. But yeah, I mean, this DR lineup, man, is pretty insane.
Stacked.
Even after Vladimir Guerrero Jr. decided to drop out. That news came out recently, but you've still got Rafael Devers, Wander Franco, Manny Machado, Jeremy Pena, Ketel Marte. In the outfield, Julio Rodriguez, Juan Soto, Teoscar Hernandez. Their pitching staff is not as good, but having Sandy Alcantara in there along with Christian Javier, that's a pretty decent 1-2.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, those pitchers aren't fully stretched out, right? Like,
Sure.
there's going to be some limitations there. You're not going to have Sandy Alcantara throwing 8 innings and 115 pitches or anything, I don't think, but there probably still is enough pitching there. I'm torn between the Dominican Republic and the U.S., and I think those two teams are very, very close, Derek. It is really hard for me to pick between those two teams, but I think I'm with you. I think I lean Dominican Republic.
I feel like the Dominican Republic team has the edge when it comes to pitching. I feel like Team USA also doesn't have great pitching. And when I say that, I am not trying to talk about Merrill Kelly because we know how good Merrill Kelly is. I'm trying to talk about their poor decision to not even currently have Merrill Kelly as part of the starting lineup or starting rotation for their next 3 or 4 games. I saw no Merrill Kelly. Is he their 5th rotation spot? Is he going to come out of the bullpen? What's going to happen there? Is he just a backup to be used should somebody else get hurt? What's going on?
They might, yeah. I mean, they probably have a few too many starters to like cycle through normal starting rotation style. So yeah, I'm sure they'll bring some of those guys out as relievers. But yeah, the U.S. has lost some guys as well. Clayton Kershaw backed out, so I think they lost some pitching depth there. I like the bullpen maybe a little bit more than I like some of the starters on the U.S. side. Daniel Bard, David Bednar, those are two pretty darn good back-end relievers. Ryan Presley is there as well from the Houston Astros. The starters are kind of okay-ish, right? Merrill Kelly, Lance Lynn, Miles Michaelis, Adam Wainwright. There's some guys that are solid, but I don't know if there's a Sandy Alcantara, Christian Javier combo like there is over with the Dominican Republic, although the U.S. is similarly stacked on the position player side of things. They're not going to have any issues scoring runs.
Not at all. So make sure to not miss out on the World Baseball Classic. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen fast. It's going to be like spring training. It's going to be here, and then it's going to be over before you know it. So, and we've already gone over the weird-ass tiebreaker rules where they're going to have to, like, have this guy come in with a chalkboard to explain the equation that they figured out who won the game. That part might suck if it comes down to a tiebreaker because I do not like the system that they have set up. But regardless, fun times to be had, fun times to watch baseball. More baseball is always better. Except when it comes to time of game, right? Like we don't want 3.5-hour games. Nobody wants that. But what people want, Jesse, you know what people want? They want more time in the bedroom with their significant other.
Here we go.
You weren't here the last time.
No. Mercifully, I was not.
Yeah, my performance fell a little short. I didn't bring my A game that day, but of course, you guys know that you all want a better sex life, and you can do that with our friends from Roman. 50% of men have symptoms that get in the way of wanting or enjoying sex. Do you want a better sex life? If so, you're not alone. And here's the thing. I got a flat tire on the way over here. Did I want to deal with a flat tire? No. Sometimes, you're excited. You're excited. You're ready to go. You got a lot to do. You want to impress that significant other. In this case, weirdly, it's Jesse. But it's just a metaphor. My tire blew out. I didn't have a say in the matter, right? People were raising their fist at me. Sometimes things can fall short. Sometimes your vehicle, if you will, doesn't live up to the standards that you were expecting and doesn't work the way you need it to. And that's what Roman is here to help with. Roman is the digital health clinic for men, addressing a variety of sexual health needs and offering genuine medication that helps achieve and maintain a strong erection. Roman offers a wide variety of services, including discreet wipes that help you last longer, getting your testosterone levels back to normal, and so much more. So make sure to check them out. There's no waiting room. There's no hassle. Straightforward digital experience from the comfort of your home. And if medication or testing is appropriate, Roman will send everything directly right to your door discreetly, and everything arrives in a discreet package with free 2-day shipping. So make sure to check them out. And of course, to learn more about how you can achieve your personal sexual health goals, go to ro.co/PHNX to get 20% off your entire first order. That's ro.co/PHNX. And don't let a flat tire stand between you and the live baseball podcast that you have to do, right? That's what I guess, whatever. Anyway, you guys go out and watch some baseball. It's so much fun. And I'm telling you this, I'm trying to give as many people as I know the cheat code. But if you want to go to spring training games and you don't want to pay some of these ridiculous prices that you might be seeing from the box office, Game Time has you covered. $4 tickets, Jesse. $4 tickets. I mean, that's practically free. Let's be honest. $4 is more of what you would pay for tax on a cheap ticket rather than what you would pay for a whole ticket. And you can find that over at gametime.co. Make sure to check them out, especially the day of the game, because that is when you are going to save the most. You can save up to 60% on tickets when you buy them last minute. And the best way to support us is by buying your tickets through the link in the description. And of course, make sure to get out there. We want to see you guys out there. Hit us up. This guy doesn't take weekends off. This is Mr. No Days Off over here during spring training. But of course, make sure to hit us up because we'd love to hang out with you guys. And we're putting together a little fun event for a little meetup here before spring training wraps up. So keep your eyes peeled for that. You can follow us on Twitter. In the meantime, I am at cap_caveman with a K. This absolute maniac is at Jesse N. Friedman. Our show is at PHNX_DBacks. But of course, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Do you know the WBC starts tonight, Derek?
I think I said that a little while. Did I say that earlier, Damon?
He doesn't. Apparently, I don't listen to what Derek said.
We've covered that on this
show.
But
I'll add some specificity to it and say that at 11 p.m. Eastern time.
Ooh, 8 o'clock our time?
9 o'clock our time.
Oh,
Cuba at the Netherlands.
Right.
You can watch that on FX1.
Ooh, yeah,
so,
nice.
There you go.
We got it tonight. Let's go.
We got it starting tonight.
Are you staying up and watching that?
I mean, I'll probably be awake, but I don't know if I'm gonna
DVR it because I don't know if this guy can stay up that late.
There's no pitch clock, so if it starts at 9, it's probably not going to be over until 3 a.m. or something. So
well, make sure to check that out and make sure you guys enjoy the baseball. On behalf of Damon, Jesse, and myself, we always appreciate your time. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you don't get a flat tire on the way to the game.